Hi, this is Craig Dellinger with a review of the Mountain Hardwear Direkt 2 tent for ProLightGear.com. This is a single wall, two-person mountaineering tent that has a minimum weight of 2 pounds 10 ounces. I'm going to take you through some of the things we like about this tent. I'm also going to address some of the concerns that people have raised about this tent, and we'll take you through the rest of the features. So to start with, let's talk about what this tent was designed for. It is a fast and light mountaineering tent, and what I mean by that, sometimes people call it an attack tent, where you're wanting to travel as fast as you can with minimal weight, and you're willing to sacrifice some things in order to achieve that. I call this a tent that you're going to use maybe for one night or 2 nights out at high altitude, and it's very good for that particular niche. Where people get into trouble with this tent, I think, is when they try and buy it as a lightweight backpacking tent and they use it in sub-alpine situations, in a backpacking situation instead of up at altitude where it's windy and dry. The reason that is that this is used in a single wall, and there are tents from RAB like the Latak and MK3 series tents that are made out of event that are going to do a better job with condensation than this tent. This is just a roughly 30 denier polyurethane coated fabric on this, and they're using some Dimension Polyant X-Pack in the real high demand areas where the poles are, and in certain guy out areas. The fabric itself is not going to be air permeable, and so you will get some condensation. Things that limit that condensation, or if you're in a windy environment, because the billowing effect of the wind hitting this tent will cause movement or air movement inside. And so if used in the right location, condensation shouldn't be that big of a problem. If used in a lower elevation where it's not a windy night and you have 2 adults sleeping inside this tent, you will get some condensation. This Dimension Polyant X-Pack fabric, it's very, very durable. It has the added benefit of letting light through when you're in the inside. I'll give you an inside shot of this where you can see that. The poles are a DAC Superlight NSL pole, and they use a ball and socket from DAC on the back 2 poles. So what I appreciate this design, this is not a unique design. This is very similar in design to the Black Diamond First Light series, is you can clip those poles in on the back and they'll stay put while you're getting them put into the front side of things here. What I like about this style of tent for mountaineering is that there's only 3 components to it. You've got 2 poles and the tent. And if you've ever arrived into an alpine base camp late at night and the wind is ripping and you're trying to set up your tent, that's where I appreciate this style of tent. You can stake out the 2 windward sides of the tent, climb inside, put the poles in, and set up the remainder of the tent from inside the tent. So I've set up tents like this in very windy situations, and I really appreciate the simplicity of this style of tent as well as the strength of this tent. This tent is going to do very well in high wind situations due to all the guy out points. And I'll give you some close-ups of some of those. There's multiple guy out points in all the Dimension Polyant X-Pack, as well as Dimension Polyant X-Pack guide out points mid-panel and other areas where you can guide this thing out. Some people have complained about the stakes, and it's a stake that's a Y stake, very similar to an MSR Blizzard stake. They're not the best, but where I would use this tent, I wouldn't be using stakes, I'd just be using rocks to guy it out. Let's see here, what else can I tell you about this tent? Oh, the shape of the tent will be great at shedding snow. Some other things with this tent, there is a vent along the bottom. I'll give you a close-up shot of that. And there is one vent up on the far side up at top. There's not a lot of ventilation in this tent. They're having complaints about if you pitch that vent that's on the top into the wind and it ends up being a snowy night, that will fill up with snow. So I think this tent is something that if used properly and used in the environments it was designed for, it's awesome. Coming in at 2 pounds 10 ounces, fully packed weight around 3 pounds. If you don't like the stakes, leave them behind. I wouldn't use them. You can replace the guideline cord with some lighter, stronger non-water absorbent guideline, and that would be one suggestion I'd make for improving the tent. But overall, very impressed with the tent. Oh, I want to point out the door. It's using a D-style door so that the door opens up and you just secure it to the side here instead of having the door fold down to the bottom. So for $550 for a super light mountaineering tent that's going to be very capable in high wind and some snowy situations, and you want just minimal weight, this is what I'd steer you towards, is a Mountain Hardwear Direkt 2. If you have any questions on this tent, please give us a call, area code 406-582-0508, or send us an email to info@prolightgear.com. Thanks for watching, and thank you for subscribing to our channel.